I really wonder why everyone's so curious about the differences between schools in the US versus the UK. The first video I made about this topic continues to be one of my top performing videos. And even though the graphics are really bad, I do still stand by the information in the video. Here we are a few years later, and I have even more information to add to the topic. But before I get into the content, I want to be really clear about who should be watching this video. Keep watching this video if you understand that the camera is staying right here on me because it is just plain unethical to take a camera through a crowded school corridor or hallway and film minors randomly. Next, you need to recognize that all of this information is based on my experience. Now that comes from being in 6 different schools in the US, and that's in 2 different states, New York and Florida, and 6 different schools that were all in London. Finally, you realize that I cannot talk about the entire United Kingdom, which, let's just define it, is England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. This video is just gonna focus on my experience in 2 US states and London. So if any of this doesn't suit you, please find another video and don't watch the Sunny News. To clarify, I put UK in the title just to rank in search engines because I think it's physically impossible for somebody to have taught in all of the countries within the UK and all of the United States and be making YouTube videos. But if you know this kind of person, please put them in touch with me because I would love to do a collaboration video. And to be fair, it has been 10 years since I worked as an assistant principal in US schools. So US viewers, if you find anything is glaringly outdated in my video, please do include the corrections in the comments. UK viewers, if you can add some information about how Scotland, Northern Ireland, or Wales may be different from England, that would be great too. Also, I'm only going to be able to talk about secondary schools because that's where I gained all my experience. To define this, in the US, that is between 9th and 12th grade, or your freshman to your senior years. And in the UK, that would be from years 10 to years 13. In the UK, years 10 and 11 are referred to GCSE. It's a 2-year process which involves the same course over that time period, and you're most likely going to be with the same people and the same teacher. So in the US, this means that you could end your year 10 in the UK in July and have very valid homework that's due when you return in September instead of starting a whole new year with a new teacher. At the end of your year 11, you take exams, and the results of those exams determine what your future options are. Now that could mean that you have to reapply to continue at your own school or go to another school. And the next step is called A-levels, and that again involves 2-year courses. So it's like usually 3 courses that are 2 years long that you take. It could also be referred to, or is referred to, as a 6th form or college. Again, for American viewers, it's like your freshman and sophomore year are grouped together in one long 2-year course with the same people and the same teacher. Now in the US, it's an entirely different experience. Each course is its own separate entity and takes place within that school year. Actually, sometimes you might have a course that is only half of the school year, and we refer to those as a semester. Universities in the US also operate on the same system, and that means that courses are a semester or half year long. So for example, when I was in high school, I took tennis as a half-year course or an elective. Electives are usually half-year courses, but they could be a full year, and they usually are classes that should be more fun than your required core academic courses like science, English, social studies, health, or math. So that's the layout or time frames of courses. Now, what do the actual courses involve? That's our next topic, curriculum. In the UK, they are very prescribed. That means you will have an exam board from which teachers can choose different exam boards to use, and each exam board will have a guide that has what they call specifications, which clearly outlines all the different things that you need to do to complete the course. Courses in the US are very different. They are really open. I felt like really left to the creativity and ingenuity of the teacher. And if you ask me, one of the downfalls of the US system is this vagueness and inconsistency that exists among all the different things that students can take. Our next difference involves exams. I can't even imagine what it's like being a student in England with the pressure that exams put on you. Pretty much at the end of your 2-year courses, your exam determines your entire future. Now, you might have a percentage of your grade that consists of a project or what they call non-exam assessment or coursework factored in, but it might be 30%. But literally everything you do on those exam days determines your future. And that can be a lot of pressure. Like if you're not feeling well or you're just having a bad day during exams, I really don't know how you recover from that. In the US, it's a lot different. Generally, you take 4 quarters and 2 quarters make up a semester, and each quarter is 20% of your grade, and then you have a final exam at the end, so you have 80% of your grade determined by how you did during each quarter, and then 20% of your grade is how you did on the actual exam, which I think presents a far more balanced picture of your educational experience in a secondary school. All systems use a schedule, or here they refer to it as a timetable. In the UK, most schools operate on a 2-week timetable, or they call it like a fortnight or fortnightly. That's not a word we use in the US, so I don't really understand if I'm using it right. Your schedule changes every day. So for example, on Monday, if you have first period English, on Tuesday of week 1, you could have first and second period science and then third period English. And then the next day it could be completely different. I find it's really complicated and it does cause a lot of confusion for people on a daily basis. In the US, you generally have the same schedule every day. It's usually a 7, maybe 9 period day. So like every day you would have English first period and science second period. That would only fluctuate with classes like maybe gym or science labs, which could be every other day or maybe only once or twice a week. But everything else is the same pattern every day. In the UK, student work is highly based on models and it's structured, and there doesn't leave a lot of room for creating something new or different. However, in the US, there's a lot of room for creativity. Many things are project-based, and there's so many opportunities to try something different and new that doesn't fall into like a cookie cutter mold. In the UK, many times you'll find that people are identified by their postcode, and that's where people determine their expectations and how well they may or may not perform. For US viewers, that's like your zip code representing who you are and who you're going to be. Also, with the use of uniforms and the fact that, girls can't wear makeup or have, their hair colored any differently or have their nails done when they come to school, there's a huge loss of identity, in my opinion, in the UK system. Where in the US, I think a lot of your identity comes from like what you do to decorate your locker and perhaps the car you drive to school. Students in the US are also encouraged to kind of be really silly when they come to school. For example, at homecoming, a lot of people will like design their own t-shirts and they have school dress up days. So I don't know, maybe if you're from the UK, you might think it creates a little bit of a circus environment, but it does make the school experience more fun, in my opinion, for teenagers. And I would vote for the US on this one because I just think being silly and being encouraged to be different and yourself is more fun when you're that age. But if you're from the UK and you think differently and you think, it doesn't create a serious environment and it's distracting, then feel free to write those ideas in the comments. Another gap that I see between the two systems is the difference in the approach from parents. In the US, I worked with so many wonderful parents in my role as an assistant principal, but I did find that concept of the helicopter parent to be absolutely true. And that's the parent who at times does their students' work or sends so many emails back and forth to the teacher about giving students another chance, or wants to know how they're doing, or wants daily updates on their child's progress. Where in the UK, I feel that parents in general are kept at a bigger distance from teachers. And I appreciate that all parents care about their students, but in my experience, parents in the US get far more involved in the student experience. After hearing some of these differences, can you add in the comments what you really like about the system that you grew up in, and then give some thought to what I've mentioned about what happens on the other side of the pond, and add what you think would be really appealing to you or perhaps kind of scary. And of course, if you don't want to miss anything happening in London, subscribe to the Sunny News email, which goes out weekly, and the link is below in the description. For now, I'm just going to say thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.